Welcome to a very special Bad Influence. The whole show this week is being transmitted in surround sound. And we'll take a look at a new game that uses surround sound to really immerse you in the action.
Our main review is Super Star Wars on the SNES.
And I'll be reporting from Universal Studios in Hollywood, where you can experience movie special effects all day, every day, and it's all done with computers.
And I'll be leaving the studio to play the very latest laser game.
First, this is a new game out on the SNES in May. It's called King Arthur's World, and it's a strategy game set in medieval times. But what's really new and interesting about this game is that it's the first one ever to use surround sound. So what's surround sound? Well, it's exactly what you might imagine. It's sound designed to surround you. It was originally used in cinemas. You may have experienced it there. When you see maybe a plane taking off and it comes over the screen and supposedly goes off into the distance, you don't see it, but you hear it. Or if something approaches you from behind, sometimes you hear it from behind before you see it on the screen. That's all done with surround sound, and now you can get it in your home. Because TVs like this one have got surround sound capabilities built in, and they're surprisingly reasonably priced. Maybe you've got a TV and you've got a video, but you'd still like surround sound, then what you need to buy is a special amplifier like this. These, though, are rather expensive. Most domestic home surround sound systems have 4 or 5 speakers, one on left and right of the television. Sometimes there's one down here too, a centre speaker for centre sounds and speech. And then, fairly obviously, you need 2 behind you, left and right, for the sounds that come from behind. Nearly all films these days are made in surround sound, and you can get the experience even when they're transmitted on telly or video, because the surround sound information is already encoded on the video that you or I would rent from the video shop. All you need is the equipment to access it. But how does it work for the game? Well, when you start, you get the test screen. Now, if you're listening at home in surround sound, you should get the full benefit of this. It starts in front, goes round to my right, behind me on my left, front right, and all the way around again. During gameplay, the sounds obviously come from all over the place, but on the test screen, for some strange reason, people die behind you, and sword clashes happen in front of you, and thunder happens all over the place. But what's the game like? Well, the programmers say it's really difficult. It should take expert game players a year to finish this, so I'll probably be finishing it around about my 65th birthday. It's kind of a medieval version of Lemmings. You're in charge of King Arthur and his court of loyal followers, setting out on a crusade to rid the world of tyrants. Like Lemmings, there are different characters with different skills. Here it's archers, swordsmen, engineers and foot soldiers. And there are some horrible traps waiting for you, from spike-filled pits to cauldrons of boiling oil. There's also a cloud world ruled by a dark wizard and filled with giant snails. Watch out, the wizard will turn you into a zombie. If you're not one already, that is, after this campaign. It's exhausting stuff. There are 23 very challenging levels, but there's no time limit. The game continues to run as long as King Arthur is alive, so you're well advised to keep him to the side and out of the fray. Good luck, and God save the king.
Our main review this week would sound fantastic in surround sound, but I'm afraid we've only got the game in boring old stereo. It's the Super Star Wars on the SNES. Everything you'd expect to see is here, the evil Empire, rebel spaceships, and of course, Luke Skywalker. And here he is, with Alex, in the Dune Sea.
This is an amazing game. It's a 3D shoot-'em-up and platform game in one. It's got everything you need. This is the land speeder level. It's one of my favourite levels. What you've got to do is kill the Jawas that come out from that sandcrawler in the distance. On the land speeder, you can turn around 360 degrees on the screen. It's excellent. You use the jet fuel to blast around the level. Those green monsters are really annoying. All the levels on this game are really challenging, but I think this one's my favourite. I think I'd buy this game. It's a bit expensive, but it's worth it. There's loads of levels and loads of characters too.
This is smooth with beautiful graphics. I think it's perfect. It's the best shoot-'em-up I've ever seen.
I'd pay £60 for this. I don't say that about many games. The graphics are stunning and the sound's really good.
And so the final scores for Super Star Wars. The boys gave it 5 out of 5, and the girls gave it maximum points too, 5 out of 5 from them.
I am afraid that Namrud is unable to be with us today, so I've stepped in at the very last moment. It's all right, Slimy Furtlers, it's me, really, in disguise. This is a secret Sonic 2 cheat, straight from Japan, and no one must know that I've told you. Oh, and by the way, this isn't Spiky, it's Spiky 2. So, the first ever cheat for Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive. First, go to the options screen and select sounds in this order for about 15 seconds each. 19, 65, 09, 17. Then, start the game. When Sonic appears and waggles his finger, quickly hit A and start together to get the level select screen. Hey! There you go, Spiky. Wing Fortress. Oh, what a giveaway. Put that back.
Who was that masked man? We've just heard, by the way, that the release date for Super Star Wars has been postponed until May, but it's obviously one worth looking out for. Last week, you may remember, we reviewed Streets of Rage 2 and told you the price was $39.99. Something we were told by Sega was correct. We've had lots of calls from people saying they've paid $44.99 for the game. We checked this with Sega and they said, in fact, that is the correct price. Sega say they're sorry, but they're not as sorry as all the people who paid £5 more than they had expected, eh?
This is L-Fish. It's the latest idea from the people who came up with Tetris. Lets you design your own fish tank. I'll show you. Here's a fish tank I've already started to design. I put the floor and the back and a few plants in, but now I want to put a few objects in it, jazz it up a bit, go to the object library. And here are all the different types of things you can put in. And I think I'll choose a skull, because I want quite a jazzy, weird fish tank. There you go. Now I can place it wherever I want. Now I'm going to put an animated object in. I think I'll put this crab in. When you put it there, the crab crawls out of the shell and back in again. So I'll place that there. Of course, what this fish tank is lacking is fish. So we go to the fish screen. All these fish have been designed by the computer, but you can actually breed your own. And that takes quite a long time. It takes even longer because you can actually evolve them, and that can take hours. So we're not going to do this. I'm just going to take the ones already there. I've asked for one of each, and now we can view it. And then you get all your fish swimming around in your own design tank. And what's really good is that you can feed them, and you can turn the light off and on again, and then you can feed them, and you can feed them to people who can't stand too much excitement, really. Our American report this week comes from Z Wright. He told us he was going to visit the movie studio, but in fact he seems to have got caught up in an earthquake.
Ever get a chance to go and watch a real-life movie being made? Take my advice. Don't bother. It's just lots of hanging around. And when the director calls action, the special effects never look good. Nowadays, it's all done with camera angles and editing. Now, if you ever get a chance to come here...
This is Universal Studios tour here in Hollywood. It's a spectacular look behind the scenes of the world's largest film and television studios. Tram ride tour of the backlot takes you past famous movie sets, and you'll experience everything from flash floods to collapsing bridges. And of course, it's all done with computers. Even King Kong himself is a 10-meter tall robot. And if you survive the tour of the backlot, you can watch teams of stuntmen recreate scenes from movies in front of your very eyes. There's everything from Miami Vice to E.T. But the newest is also potentially the most dangerous. Based on the firefighting movie Backdraft, the audience gets to see 30 major fires and 10 explosions in a couple of minutes.
Backdraft is a really interesting show because it's a live firestorm. I mean, we're putting 150 people in front of enormous degrees of heat, and we're actually exploding natural gas as well as liquid oxygen every 30 seconds. So it's a tremendous show. When we build an attraction, especially an attraction like this where the star of our attraction is flame, we have a much different challenge than what a film will have. Not only do we have to do it repeatably, we have to do it hundreds of times a day. We do it 12 times an hour, 150 times a day, all year long. In order to have any control over the fire, we had to rely on computers to really do everything, from the moment the gas arrives at the building, all the way through the system, through the valves, through the burners, through the igniters. The computers control it step by step by step. before a computer can do anything, the first thing the computer has to look for is that the fact there is no flame. The very next command it's going to get is to start a flame. It wants to see that that spark plug is lit and has to verify it back to the computer. After that, the computer can then allow, in the right timing, to open the valve, and a pre-released or pre-measured portion of natural gas is then ignited and set out through a burner. All the while this is going on, we are sensing temperature in the attic, along the ceiling, at the audience level, throughout the show. And the computer's taking all of these temperature sensor readings and making sure they're within an acceptable range. In addition to temperature, we're looking at oxygen levels, whether we have too much oxygen or not enough oxygen. We also have intrusion sensors in case any employees or guests wanted to try to walk out there and get a little closer to the flames.
Well, after that, there's only one thing for it. I'm off to a barbecue.
Hey, stay cool, Zed. This is like a really, really cool kind of infinite lives cheat for Cool World on the Atari. At any point during the game, just type in, Colin broke my Walkman. You can also type in, Graham broke my television, and Roger got mud on my trainers. Obviously, it's only the first one that has any effect on the game whatsoever, and you get infinite lives, if you can be bothered to do it properly. Far out and groovy, man.
Peace and love now. Now for this week's news and previews.
One of the most playable and addictive games we've come across recently for the SNES is this puzzle game called Equinox, sequel to the NES game Solstice. You play a cute little hero who has to rid his world from evil. You have to navigate your way through the maze of deadly dungeons which underlie the 7 kingdoms of creation.
The second issue of Bad Influence magazine has just hit the newsstands, packed full of news, views, reviews, and behind-the-scenes stories. All that and more for just $1.95.
A quirky new game due out on the Game Boy features a chicken called Alfred, who has to save all the world's eggs from Wild World, where they're being hoarded by a baddie. Due out on the Game Boy in May, the Amiga in July, and the SNES in October.
Ariel, the Little Mermaid, makes her first appearance on 2 formats, the Game Gear and the Mega Drive. Her task is to overcome the evil sea witch Ursula, who has turned all the mer people into little wormy things. Here's Kathleen to take us through the Mega Drive version.
If you like the film, you'll probably enjoy the game. You can choose to be Ariel or her dad, Triton, but I prefer to be Ariel. These wriggly snakes are mer people who've been changed by the Wicked Witch. I like the idea that she has to sing to her enemies. You can call different friends. This one's a fish and it pushes a rock. You should look into the treasure chest because there's all sorts of treasure hidden. The map shows where the mer people are. The red shiny bit is Ariel and the other bits are her friends. This game looks lovely, but I'm not sure I'd buy it. There are only 4 levels and they're all much the same.
This is just a poorer version of Echo the Dolphin. I can see it might be popular though because of the film, but I definitely won't buy it.
I love the film and like this game. I think Ariel moves well. I like the sound she makes when she sings. I'd buy this.
And the scores for Ariel, the Little Mermaid, the boys gave it an average score of 3 out of 5, but the girls liked it a bit more and gave it 4 out of 5.
Return to the dawn of history with Dynolympics on the Lynx, a whiz through the evolution of mankind. It's your job to discover spears, wheels and fire in an effort to stop your tribe from becoming extinct. Here's Ian the Caveman.
The first thing that strikes you about this game is how good it looks. The graphics are the best I've seen on a handheld and it's extremely playable. Here I've got to pick up the torch and toggle through my abilities to throw it. I've got throw now, so here we go. Now comes back down the ladder. I have to go collect the person who is supporting everybody else using the rope. Right, he's over the rope now. If you get into problems, you can summon the Magic Man, who will trade 1 member of your tribe for a spear or any other piece of equipment you might need to complete the level. This is addictively playable. I'd buy it and I'd certainly recommend it for anybody who likes this sort of game.
I might buy this. It's a puzzling game with great graphics, but the men go too slowly and they keep running out of time.
I like this game, even though it's not in the same league as Lemmings. But if you're a fan of puzzle games, this is well worth getting.
And the scores for Dine Olympics, the boys gave it 4 out of 5, and the girls liked it just as much. They gave it 4 out of 5.
Ah, right, Techie Furtless. This is a TAEC for UN Squadron on the SNES. Now, a TAEC is a backwards cheat. It makes the game harder. All you have to do is first of all go to the options screen, then, with control pad 1, skip through the level difficulties until you see the word hard. Then, with control pad 2, hold down A and X together. Then back to control pad 1, scrolling through until you see the word gamer. You'll now be on a mega difficult level of the sort that only a complete expert of my calibre can get through. Up, up, and away! Andy? Violet? What's going on? Where is everybody?
This is Laser Force, the latest laser game. The aim is to hit more people than hit you. It's so dark in here that we've had to use special cameras, which is why the pictures look a bit grainy. Utter chaos! But I've got Andy more than he's got me, and that's what counts. This is the portable play area that gets taken round to exhibitions and TV studios. It takes about 30 minutes to inflate. The gun barrel fires off a low-powered laser, but that's just for show. What you can't see is that it also fires out an infrared beam that comes from here, and that's like what you use on your tele-remote control. And that is identified by the targets on your front and your back. I think Andy's just hit me. I'm going to get my revenge later on. But I can't hit him back straight away, because when I've been told by the electronic voice that I've just been hit, it disables my gun for 4 seconds. The guns are also coded, which means that as much as I try, I can't shoot myself. And this also means at the end of the game, you can shoot your gun into a central computer, and this tells you how much you've been hit, who hit you, and who you hit. But now I'm off to get my revenge on Andy.
Last week's competition prize was a Super Mario paint and a SNES, and the competition question was, who painted the Mona Lisa?
It wasn't Namrud, it was some Italian bloke called Leonardo da Vinci.
Absolutely right, and we had over 8,000 entries. Thank you if you wrote in. But our random winner selection system has come up with James Lamb, age 9, from Whitecross in Hereford. Well done, James.
Gotcha.
This week's competition prize is a Menacer and a Mega Drive, which Violet's got.
No, I haven't. You had it last. Anyway, the question is, what does the word laser stand for? Send answer with a sealed down envelope or a postcard to the usual address by next Monday. Sure you had it?
No, I'm sure you had it.
Is this what you were looking for?
Ow! Sort him out, will you? Join us next week for the last of the present series when we review some of the stuff that's going to be available over the summer. See you then. Bye-bye.
See ya!
Eat laser, Johnny Hacker!